Hello there! Welcome back to another video! This week, to celebrate the coming of the new year, I'm going to be doing something themed in regards to like new beginnings, loosely. So in Photoshop right now, I put together some drawings on the side which are of my old original character. Her name was Risa, and I drew her, I created her and I drew her a lot in 2011, but then I drew her maybe like 5 or 6 times or something like that, and then I just didn't draw her anymore, and I just kind of stopped caring about making original characters until like 2014 or something like that. But so Risa was, because it was 2011, I don't remember how old I was, like 13 to 14 at the time. It was like this staple like Mary Sue type of self-insert character, and it's so embarrassing, it's not even cringy to look back on now, of like the things that I thought about this character and making this character and just like the vision that I had for her. But I decided that it would be a good idea, like I had this video idea a while ago that I wanted to redraw my first original character. Like originally I wanted to redesign her, but honestly speaking, like the design's not too bad. The colors are really off, like really off. I really don't like every time I was like eyedroppering the colors to see like, oh, what color did I pick for her skin, what color did I pick for like her shirt or whatever. I would just cringe at like this highly saturated, what kind of pigmentation is this kind of, and it doesn't match too much. I thought it matched like with little details, but anyway, I'll get into that a bit more later. But I wanted to just spend some time redrawing something that I spent a lot of time on now 8 years ago. Still can't get used to that, it's 2019. But starting off, I went through I think 4 different poses. I had Pinterest opened on my phone while I was working on this, and I just really wanted to get a pose that I thought really captured her but also showcased her design. And I had like a really hard time finding a pose that I thought fit, and I did a lot of like sitting poses, a couple like half sitting poses, and in the end I came to this cross-legged pose. And I don't think that any of the other poses were like bad per se. I think some of them came out pretty good, well drawn. I just, for some reason or another, I thought it wouldn't either it wouldn't suit the character, or it wouldn't showcase like what I wanted to show of the character. So like a lot of the ones where she was like sitting down, she had her arms in front of her torso, so it would kind of conceal a little bit like her figure and like her outfit. And with the thing I planned to add to her outfit, this bomber jacket that I'm sketching right in, like I had the idea to like draw her in the tank top of the one where the color picker is covering right now, where she's kind of like leaning back with a very tiny tank top, and then add like a bomber jacket to that. And then I wanted to grab the jeans from the one where she's kind of holding her hat with the 3 buttons. I thought that was kind of cool. And the only reason I included the top reference, once I bring it back up, the only reason I included the top one is because that's the first time I ever drew Risa, so I thought it would be like a good idea to have that one up for inspiration. But my favorite one is the middle one, the one where she's holding her hat. Before I drew this one that I'm drawing right now, of course, because this one I'm obviously much happier with because I spent a while on it. In total, I spent around 3 hours on it. I didn't render it as much as I could. I didn't do any overpainting at all. But yeah, I did, do shading and color it, and a very simple kind of background. But yeah, I was playing around a while, and I'm not going to get to that point for a bit, but I was playing around a while to give her darker skin, to give her like more tan, kind of on a browner type of skin tone, not so pale. But it ended up really sort of not working out with the like values that I picked for the rest of her clothes. So I decided to remain faithful to the original design, and I'm going to make up for it by drawing Aries, who's my character that has dark skin, or Onyx, or just something, because I felt like painting darker skin and Risa was not, like, it just didn't really look right with the rest of her design. And it was kind of like a huge transformation. While I was fairly faithful to the other parts of her original design, I think I also experimented with painting her nails, now that I see myself lining her hand, and I did not like it. The only character that I draw with painted nails sometimes is my character Therese, and I draw her with white nails. sometimes, and I was giving Risa some like blood red nails, and it really didn't look good when I zoomed out. Like they almost like called too much attention, and I guess I could have like toned it down and made it like kind of match with the skin tone a little bit so it wouldn't stick out as much. But either way, the feet were kind of interesting. They gave me a lot of trouble because originally when I drew them they were huge. Like I don't know how they just escaped my notice how large they were when I was first sketching it, but I ended up fixing it a little bit and fixing up a little bit more once I was like base coloring. And yeah, overall this was a really interesting experience. I think the most challenging part of this whole thing was finding the pose that I liked, but I'm quite happy with the one that I ended up with. I think it's really sassy. I think it really fits the kind of vision that I had for her. But if I were to like start, using Risa in my roster of characters, like I draw, for example, my character Therese and my character Chrome and my character Talia, these characters that I draw often on my channel. If I were to start drawing her as often as I draw them, I would need to like completely revamp everything that I just like previously decided about her personality, because it's just so cringily Mary Sue. I'm sure everyone who's created original characters went through that stage where all their characters were like the best character in the world. So here we are putting the darker skin tone, and it looked fine at this stage. When it was just the hair color, it actually looked really cool with the darker skin color, and I was really happy that I chose to do it. But once I started coloring in all the other parts and adding like the lighting effects and the red in her hair, I ended up it felt kind of like I did it wrong for some reason, I don't know, but I ended up swapping that color out later on. Luckily this is Photoshop and it's easy to fix. I've been doing a bit of traditional illustration lately. I did a watercolor piece as a Christmas gift not long ago, and it was interesting. I want to do some watercolor videos on this channel, but it's hard to set up a recording time, and it's also like harder to find motivation to do a watercolor piece because it's so much more of an investment. Alright, there where I dropped the color for her top. I remember vividly while I was working on this that I just like I dropped the purple that I'd originally chosen for her clothes, and the amount of out loud went like here. I was like retching of like, why did I pick, like it was a fully saturated dark purple. Here's a pro tip: if you're fully saturating a very dark color, it does not look that good. I don't know why I always fully saturate. If you desaturate a dark color, you can still tell that it's the color, and it's so much easier to work with. You live and you learn, right? You live and you learn. I really didn't think of all these things, and I had no clue about anything color theory related when I originally designed Risa. It's kind of funny. Alright, another thing that I gave her a belly piercing. I really thought, because I showed her with like her belly showing in a lot of her illustrations, and she seems like the kind of person, she only has her ears pierced and she wears a necklace. And like nowadays I give my characters like all sorts of tattoos. Like Aries, for example, has her tongue pierced, and she's got a couple tattoos. Chrome's a tattoo artist that has his entire arms tattooed. He has like sleeves, and Rowan's got his eyebrow pierced. So my characters are a little bit more alternative, and it felt like her just having her ears pierced was a little boring. And she's the kind of character that I kind of saw, considering a belly ring, and I would never consider getting a belly ring myself, so it's satisfying to push her a little bit away from that whole self-insert thing that she started off as, because oh boy, even just talking about it just like fills me with embarrassment. And what I also did to try to harmonize the colors is I grabbed a color and I made a layer completely filled with that color, and I set the color to overlay so that it would have a kind of fusion, so things would be a little bit more cohesive. And I think that was the step that made the darker skin fall through. Like if I hadn't done that step, I think I would have been able to make the darker skin work, but it wouldn't have, like the rest of the color palette wouldn't have fit as well. And originally before I did that, I wanted to make her tank top a lighter color than the bomber jacket, but then when I did that, I just kind of zoomed out and I looked at it, and I think that I noticed that like she would look better with the darker tank top against the bomber jacket, because it just stood out a little bit more, and it worked out better with showing her midriff, because having it be a mid-tone, like a lighter mid-tone, it kind of made it look the same as the skin tone. And it was either go pure white, which I didn't feel would fit in character with her, or make it darker, and I ended up going with darker, and it's all like within the warm, dark, purpley, like technically speaking in the color picker it's more on the pink side, but it's like very dark and desaturated, so it doesn't really read as pink. It's all in that family besides like the jeans, and I think that works a lot more with her hair and her eye color. Her eyes are also red and all that stuff, because originally she had red eyes, red hair, she had teal and cyan details in like her necklace, she had bright dark blue jeans, like very saturated blue jeans, even though they were very dark, they were very saturated, and then she had a completely neutral grey, like when I picked it did not have any sort of undertone pigment to it, which blows my mind. I never picked straight up grey for anything, it was just straight up grey hat. And in the one where she was wearing a belt, it was like a straight up grey belt. There's where I lighten up the skin. It was actually a very quick fix to lighten up the skin. It was just tweaking an what's it called, an effects layer, an overlay layer with levels, and just made it a bit lighter result. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, the colors are what bothered me the most. And of course, like the originals didn't have as nice sort of, well, not nice, it had a different style, let's say, worth of shading and stuff. Like I was trying to do two-tone shading, but I wasn't quite comfortable with my tablet yet. It took me like a year and a half to get used to using my Wacom tablet, and the line art that I did for them, it was just so shaky and like scratchy. It's like I didn't know how to get a smooth line. Like I didn't exactly do the cleanest of line arts for this one. Like I did it fairly messy, not gonna lie, and I didn't even paint over the line art because it was a little bit transparent, because I just wanted to like make something produce. I didn't want something completely polished. I also felt like it fit the pose a little bit better if it was a little bit like messier, but still, like the original drawings, it really takes me back to how far I've come in digital art, how much I didn't know. I remember that I made, of course, a layer for every single like step. Like if it was shadow 1, shadow 2, shadow 3, the eyes used to take me, like not gonna lie, 10 layers and more to do. Like the outlines, the white, the shadow in the white, the light of the white, the pupil, the dark pupil, the darker 2 pupil, the light 1, light 2, like it was crazy. But we're about almost done. I'm just doing like some finishing effects, adding some noise, putting the background, unifying a couple colors. I think the most significant thing that I did in this stage was I did an effect layer map where I did selective color, and I got rid of some of the magenta that I'd originally added back to try to unify things. But because I uniformly removed some of the magenta, it came out like it still looks unified, I think. But yeah, this is about my redrawing of my first original character. Her name is Risa, and I drew her in 2011, and it is now 2019. Hopefully you can tell some growth, because I feel like I've grown a lot, and she's not actually that bad. Like it's cringy, like all the Mary Sue self-insert aspects to her, but she's not that bad. But yeah, I wanted to thank you very much for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, tell me about your first original character if you have a similar story, and I'll see you all next week.